I like it.
Yeah, that really gets you pumped up.
Yeah.
Live from WSUX.
Right. It always makes me want to use like a lower voice, like welcome to Wook Plus.
Hey, baby. You
I don't know.
remember
That's cool.
what's Barry White? Did you ever see The Simpsons where Barry White was on it?
Yeah, I think
He
so.
was like
For some reason, I was
Piper.
thinking South Park. Oh, right.
At his voice, because his voice was so low.
It's like
All right.
James Earl Jones' voice.
How we doing, guys?
What's up, man?
Sunday morning, football's coming up. I know we don't talk about football, but I play fantasy, so
We don't talk. Nah, I don't talk about it. It's all right. I used to watch football like religiously, but then I one day I calculated how much time I spent on it and like did like a whole return of investment type thing, which by the way, never do with fish because it's not good.
it's
The
not
amount
gonna
of
work.
time we put into it. But I don't know. I just wasn't, because I was losing all the time. And it's like I would end up getting angry. And then I'd be like, why am I putting this much time into something that consistently, ironically though, I'm a Bucks fan and I stopped the year before Brady came over. And then I was like, God damn it, if I just hung in there for a little bit longer.
Now I got to get back in. Yeah, I was never interested until I played fantasy football.
Yeah.
And then it's fun because I have people in different teams, so I'm paying attention to different games and
Yeah. No, I hear you. Hey, you know what I was thinking about this morning? I was thinking about mentors, but like specifically in like the world of fish, like the role of like getting you into the music. Well, I guess I should say jam bands or the scene in general. Because a lot of people I know, there's like somebody that brought them into the scene. And then there's people that we bring into the scene. And it's just like it's almost like Padawan Jedi type thing, right? Like you bring them in, you show them the ropes and everything. But I feel like you're maybe a little bit different. Was there somebody that got you into the scene? Because I've known you for what, years now? We talk constantly, and you've never talked about that person, like whoever it would be that got you into this.
Well, the Grateful Dead for me, when I was 10 years old or so, I had a single mother. So she would go to like stores. There was a store called Hit or Miss. It was right next to the toy store. So she'd go to the clothing store, let me run around Toys R Us.
Right.
But I was in there one day and they played Casey Jones was playing on the radio.
Right.
So I walked around for days going, flying my plane, high on cocaine, and just making up words to it. Went to the library to try to find the song when I was at the library. So I checked out all the Grateful Dead records, and it was Long Strange Trip, which was a greatest hits compilation that did not have Casey Jones, and Go to Heaven, which does not have Casey Jones. But I discovered the Grateful Dead in doing that. I don't think I ever returned the Long Strange Trip album. I told my mom I lost it and had her pay them so I could keep it. And that's how I got into it. So it was a lot of me bringing other people in, I think, along the way. Hey, check out this cool band I found.
I mean, that makes total sense for like finding the band's music. But what about like when you started going to shows? Did you just kind of figure it out as you went?
The first show I went to was RFK in '86, and everybody I knew was going. It was like Dazed and Confused, my friend group. We were definitely, that movie could have been written about us.
Was that the same time period? Like,
well, I was mid '80s, mid late '80s. That was,
I guess you're not quite
70s.
that old.
Right.
Oh no, as he says, you're having we are. Maybe it's me buffering issues. I just adjusted my Wi-Fi. That's all right. Yeah, so you didn't have an older person, and then I guess your transition into fish, you just kind of stumbled upon him, right? And then it just was a natural progression.
Yeah, we went because we thought it was an Allman Brothers cover band playing that night.
When did you get it with fish? It's like the first show you saw, you obviously didn't get it, right?
No, and I went back and saw them again in February. Did you hear that?
Shit, yeah. Cats are going at it.
February, I went back and saw him, and I met this guy. I ran into this guy who I had seen at the show in December, And he, after the show, he's like, "Oh, let me give you a tape." So he gave me a tape, and then I went and saw
Ah,
him a
there
couple
is
months later,
somebody.
and I have
Okay.
no idea who that person is that gave me the tape. But
Thanks, One Piece. Let's see. So there is kind of like a guy, a mentor. So maybe it is more of a fish thing. I don't know. I assumed it translated in the dead, but the dead was way more uh ingrained in the culture of the time. Like it was everywhere. It wasn't like I feel
right,
like I mean fish is popular, but even when they're at their heyday, it still felt kind of counter to like what was
well,
super
right. It was
popular.
it was '86 when I got into them, and then in '87, Touch of Grey came out. They toured with
Oh, I
Dylan.
thought you were about fish. I was like, "Damn, where are you going to bring some?"
Right, they became huge. I mean, they were like the biggest one of the biggest bands on the planet. They were selling out RFK Stadium for multiple nights. Fish
Right,
never had the hit song. They
right.
never made that jump
Not
that the
even
Grateful Dead
close.
did,
Right,
you
which
know?
is fine.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
God. It's a good thing. I mean, it gave the Grateful Dead a whole 'nother set of problems, and it eventually is what destroyed the scene.
was the hits and getting that many people in all at once.
Right, all of a sudden, you have 5,000 extra people per show showing up.
Right.
So you have
Probably
all these
more than
people in the
that.
parking lot, you know?
Yeah, probably way more than that,
Right.
right?
Well, I'm thinking of like a smaller show. Like after Brent died and then the shows at Richfield, the first shows with Vince, we went
Yeah,
to, there were as many people out in the parking lot as got into the show that night.
right. Just like the Swifties.
Yeah, we were. We were. If only we were as cool.
Yeah, I think for me it was my brother, obviously, but that's like a very specific to like being a younger brother, get you in. But I've always tried to like, I don't know if it's like a responsibility or just loving like sharing a passion, but like whenever I meet somebody that's like really into it, but like new, I feel like excited by it, right? Like you're like one of us, come, welcome,
Right.
and like that whole like stewardship of it. Like I don't know. It's an unspoken thing. There's like no rules or anything, but it just feels like a cool part of the community that I see over and over and over again.
It was very neat during quarantine. People joining Twitter, discovering fish for the first time, and then finally getting to see them once quarantine was over, and
I
watching these
love
people grow. And now they're like, "Oh, I've seen 10 shows," and I'm like, "Dude, it's been a year." I mean,
yeah, I know a couple of people that started in 4.0 have already passed us. I'm like, holy shit. It's crazy, man. And you still like this past year, what like Megan and uh Fandy, like people are
it,
still finding and discovering. I think it's awesome.
it
It's
is.
really good. Anything going on in the news in the scene? You're our
Well,
correspondent.
the Goose came out with the string cheese incident,
Oh,
and I guess
Halloween.
they had a goose cheese incident. They did a goose song, Animal, and they did a string cheese song, Texas.
Yeah.
The one about mushrooms, having mushrooms.
You a
Um,
string cheese guy?
eh,
Yeah.
I don't know. String cheese was poised in 2001 to be the band, to take the mantle from Fish, really.
Yeah, I
And,
mean, they all
you know
take it's been happening for 20 years. Different
right,
bands
well,
have
but
taken
at that
turns.
moment, it looked like they were, and like, they played, like, places as big as UMBC's, basketball place, which holds,
Yeah.
I'm sure, 8,000 people with the floor, and I don't know, I went to that show, and it was another one of these. It wasn't the same as when it was a bar, when they were a bar band,
Well, I've
where
always felt like all those bands could never break out of their region the way Fish did, right? Like you see Mo in New England or New York, they were that big. If you saw string cheese out in like Colorado or like Middle America, they were that big, right? Or Humphreys over in Chicago. Now, granted, Humphreys I think blew up bigger than the rest of them over time, but like in that time period, all those bands were just really stronghold in their local areas, but just never could get the same traction, like the national traction, I think. I like I enjoy string cheese, but I don't think I would go out of my way to see them. They are not in that like travel to see category. If they're playing local and like
Mhm.
I got an extra few bucks, yeah, I'd definitely go catch them. I caught a couple
Yeah.
shows, with my wife right before we had the kids, and we enjoyed the shit out of it, but I'm not
How
traveling to see them.
how many bands are on your list that you will travel, say, over 100 miles to see?
100 miles? Ooh. Well, I have to travel pretty far to see anybody because I'm out in the boonies. But um, yeah, I mean, not many,
Then you'd go
not
to New
many
York. I
anymore.
mean, New York's probably over 100 miles from you, right?
Yeah, I would go to New York. So, like, I would say Fish. Obviously, I mean, I've
Yeah.
traveled to fucking Denver and shit. Probably Mo. You know, I would go do, and then maybe I don't know. I would Dead and Co. I would have, like this past tour if I didn't have the baby and stuff. But
Right.
I don't know. Do you have any other bands that you would travel that far to see?
I mean, I used to go see the Rads all over. I mean,
Oh
I would
yeah.
go as far up to, like, Connecticut and, down to North Carolina solo to see them. So,
I see that's the
um
thing though. It's a perspective thing because right now I'm not traveling anywhere, but it's hard to put myself in that mindset. I did the same thing when Mo, like,
right.
what was that, like, oh 06, oh 07, oh 08, like when Fish was broken up.
Yeah.
We would travel the whole East Coast, and
And you got some
uh
twiddling too, right?
Tab I would. Yeah, Twiddle I traveled for. I went up to Albany for. Yeah, I'm not, I'm not ashamed of it anymore. I've gotten so
No,
much
you
shit
shouldn't
for
be.
it.
I
They're
tell you what,
fucking fun, man.
if it was something special, like the James Casey thing, they're gonna be
Yeah.
doing a Brooklyn Bowl, I would go up to New York to do that. Would I go up to New York just to see one of those bands that's playing? Probably not, because I'm gonna be able to catch them in DC or Philly. There's no need for me to drive to New York.
Yeah. Yeah. No, special things. I mean, that's the other thing too, right? Is if you're traveling, you get these festivals and these special events and stuff. Yeah, I don't know who's buffing, if it's on me or you or the audience, because
Yeah,
some
which
people are
one of
saying
us
it's.
is which one of us?
I don't know. Our connection seems great on this end. The YouTube algorithm thing is saying excellent connection. I don't know. That's all right. Maybe come back and watch it. Um, I would, yeah. I don't know. I think I probably would travel with the right circumstances for a lot of things. Like, like for example, this is like a hard one to say, but like if Talking Heads got together and I somehow got tickets, I would travel to see them in a
Right.
heartbeat, like without any thought to it, But did you see the interview with Colbert?
I did. I did. They seem strange. Seem
Yeah, it's
strange,
very uncomfortable. It was
But
like
but,
palpably uncomfortable.
the at the end when they were like, "Go ahead, the band's right there," when Colbert said whatever he said, I felt like the look in Burns' eyes was like, "Yeah, that's something that could happen." Not that it was gonna happen that second, but it wasn't a look of disgust or anything in his eyes, but a look of maybe that is a possibility.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
I don't know.
would they make new music? That's my question. Do you think if the Talking Heads toured, they would put out a new album to tour behind?
No. No, I don't think so at all. I think they would just ride on their laurels, and that's all they would need to do it. Do you think like Tina and Chris though have they been playing still? Because I know like Byrne has
Yeah.
doing the musical and he's constantly touring, but like because that was the thing, the look on Chris's face. I don't know if he can like. I'm just inferring, but like, could he just get up and fucking play?
Tom Tom Club tours.
Yeah,
I mean, they only play a couple shows a year, maybe, or every other year, but I mean, he's played, and Jerry Harrison,
Jared,
has been
look,
touring with Baloo
he's
doing Remain in Light. So
yeah.
he's greased up and ready to go.
There's zero question with Jerry. I feel like he's a consummate. He would always
Right.
be able to play, but
But they also have a lot of other musicians. You watch Stop Making Sense.
right, the whole other band there.
Right, there's 2 other drummers up there,
Right,
there's
yeah,
a
you don't even
keyboard.
really have to play that hard.
Right. You can kinda just sit there and collect the check.
You can't lip sync drums though, man. Can't do it or drum sync. Like,
No.
I mean, Mickey's shown us that. Even if you play way low, it's still like
Even if you have the dildo stick.
they give him like soft rubber,
Right.
spatulas, and you still can't tell when he's off.
Little light S&M there for
Has
you.
he announced anything? I know Bobby was doing Whoop Bros and like they had other things. Has Mickey done anything?
Wasn't there something on that Dead Ahead?
Oh yeah.
I felt like there was a Mickey thing included in that, but when Mickey doesn't really tour, he'll do 3 or 4 shows. He'll do a DC show and then a New York,
Yeah.
because he does the
Yeah, I
whole
can't
drum
find it.
thing. So it's a matter of him
Yeah,
getting a bunch of
Planet Drum or whatever.
right.
Yeah.
I forget what it was called last time, but yeah, he gave it some other name. But it's basically a bunch of really high caliber, famous percussionists that it's probably hard to get everybody's schedule together.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, what else are they doing though? It's not like they're in high demand.
Wow, you never know. I mean, I think you're thinking of American music. You're not thinking of what they call world music, that there's billions of people listening to stuff that isn't American music elsewhere in the
I
world.
have no idea who these drummers are. I mean, I'm very familiar with world music, as
Like
it were,
Bobo
but
Tunji was huge. I mean, he was huge in the rest of the world. The only reason I know his name is because he played with the Grateful Dead a couple times.
yeah. Yeah. You know what's going on? Mockingbird reached out, Chip. We've had him on the show.
Yeah.
And they asked me to put together a little playlist. And I was curious, like, if you had to approach that type of assignment, how would you go about it? Because I put together one and I gotta be honest, I just went with just like guilty pleasure, gut feel, and the stipulation's no fish, right? Like it's all your other music. And then when I
Uh,
looked at it, I was like not embarrassed, but I was kind of like shy about it because it's like I don't know, like when you put it all out there, I feel like that's like a very intimate look at like your tastes and flavors, and people are just like instantly judged. But how would you go about putting together plays? Give me some advice because I
the
got to get this back to him soon.
So it's just music that you listen to that you like besides, or does it have to be jam band centric?
No, I don't think it needs to be at all. He sent me an example, and it was all like 90s R&B and like like
How would I approach that? Well, usually when I've done a few playlists on Spotify, and usually I pick a song to start
yeah,
and then I vamp off of that. Like one I picked, there's a Blue Oyster Cult song called This Ain't the Summer of Love,
right.
that I did over the quarantine
See,
at the
you're
beginning of the
you're
summer
like
in quarantine.
an old time DJ though. Like I feel like you have like this vast library in your head. Where you're like,
Right.
oh, I'm gonna put the little of this flavor, a little of that flavor, and
That
I have
is how I
like
approach it. It
right,
is.
which is cool, and I think that's cool. But like, I'm not. I feel like I'm not well versed in like music in general, but like as far as like my just the shit I listen to, it's a lot of hits. So
But
it's
what
like it's
about
not gonna be a lot of eclectic things. It's gonna
right?
be a lot of
But you've
you
told
know.
me before you got into Fish, you were into what, like metal and stuff like that,
Yeah,
right?
well, so like for example, I was thinking about Rage. I put Bomb Track, but see that's the thing is like Bomb Track's like one of their hits. So then I was like, oh, maybe I'll go later Rage and do like Renegades of Funk. But then I'm like, that's kind of Tool. Like I don't know. Yeah, I got to think about
I
it.
definitely always try to go with the B side,
B
so
side,
to
right?
speak.
You know what I was thinking was doing like a number line thing. We just had that anniversary of like Fish doing that show a couple of years ago, but like because the song I wanted to start it with it was 32 Things by Mo because it starts really fast, but it's like "Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do,"
Mm,
that whole thing, and then like Take Five, like Herbie Hancock, that's like one of my like favorite songs. So I was like, the first two songs I thought of had numbers, but then I wrote down like five songs, and I was like, well, I'm out of number songs.
right. That's it for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh well.
thematic is good too. When I ended up on crowd control on Sirius on Fish Radio once, I spelled went with the 5 songs I chose with the first letter of each song. So
Did you think about flow at all? Like how they go into each other, or is it just like you dump the songs in?
that one was specifically to make the joke of putting WENDT.
Right. Well,
But
hopefully I'll come up with something soon and you guys will see it. And then you can all
nice.
judge me
I've seen they've
horrifically.
been doing the playlist now. What is that attached to? Is that to get people to donate money, or how does that work? Or they're just trying to have content?
No, it's tied to something. It's tied to it's called Mockingbird Radio Presents. Remind me why I have ears. I don't know.
You ought to throw a tomato marshmallow melon on there.
Oh, do we have that on here? Oh, it's on
It's
the other one.
yeah, it's got
Damn.
to be on Spotify though.
Da do da 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 da
Man,
da
my
da.
cats are killing each other. They
Yeah.
don't like each other. The old one's like, "I'm old, I don't want a kitten around," and the kitten's like, "Let's play." She chased her tail for 5 minutes last night, ran in a circle. I was like, "What are you doing?"
The
She
old one or the
"Oh."
young one?
The young one. She
Oh,
woke me up yesterday by scratching my face because she wanted food. I was like, "That is not kitten, that's kitten math."
cats are kind of dicks.
Yeah, cats are. It's probably why I dig them because they don't
Right.
need much from you,
They're
you
like
know?
complete assholes, but you love it. They're your assholes though.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
oh, did you hear about Matthew Perry? That's
Yeah, I know.
sad.
I was never a Friends person.
I
I
was gonna
was
say you're probably too old for that. You
right.
just missed it. It was huge when I was younger. Like
But it
fucking
was also it was Thursday nights. It was part of that Thursday night thing, and Thursday nights started my weekend. I was out at the bar on Thursday nights at
right.
that age, you
I
know?
was still a kid.
You
Like
actually got a lot of the good bands. That's when you would get them in
on
Baltimore was
Thursday
Thursday night
nights.
because they would play Friday Philly and Saturday New York.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's still kind of the case, right?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, Baltimore gets skipped mostly now.
Oh, well, you know what? Philly's now the new Thursday because I'm thinking like from my area, it's like we get lots
Yeah.
of good shows on Thursdays.
Right. So
Yeah,
and
I
they
never
do
thought
2
about
nights in New
that.
York, or they go New York, Boston.
Yeah. Yeah, usually residencies up in New York, a lot of bands will just stay, not not go too far. Alright. Well, you got anything else?
I wish more people did the widespread model.
What's
3
that?
shows every year, they play 3 shows at the National Harbor in DC and 3 shows up in Michigan somewhere and
You
3
like
shows
Panic?
down in you know.
Are you a Panic fan?
No, I'm not real. I don't like the guy's voice. I mean, they're okay. They write good songs. Jerry Joseph is a fantastic songwriter who's written with them, Vic Chestnut, but yeah, I never got into his voice.
What about Government Mule? You strike me as somebody that would dig that.
I love the Mule, and then
You
when they
look
added
like
the
all the fans that would come out of Government Mule shows because they always like double book like the Beacon when Fish was playing MSG, and then we'd all
yeah,
like mingle in the train station, and all the mule head. I guess I don't know if they're called mule heads, but like all the mule fans look like you essentially. So I was like, you probably like Government Mule.
when Woody died and they added the keyboard player, I stopped.
Yeah.
And I was always like wondered why they got the keyboard player. And someone told me who was close to Warren that Warren didn't feel like anybody could do what Woody could do, and they had to have a bass player and a keyboard in order to make up for losing him. But I just felt like it changed the dynamic of the band. It was no longer that ZZ Top, Led Zeppelin, heavy chords, blues. You had the keyboard player now. It had a more Allman Brothers progressive jazzy thing added
Yeah,
to
when
it.
into more into like the jammy, jazzy, you know, sillier
Right.
side of the scene. Yeah, no, I definitely could see that. I love the old hard blues sound.
And now it's become, I feel like Warren's fallen into the Trey trap of the elder statesman showman. Here's my whole catalog of stuff I've done.
Yeah, but what's the alternative though? Could you
I don't
imagine
know.
playing the same fucking hits over and over and over again? They would burn out. There's no way.
Well, Mick Jagger sings Satisfaction every night.
Yeah, okay. Trey's not getting and Warren's not getting McJagger money.
That's true.
I'm
Ain't getting
I
that
mean,
Jagger money.
if you're getting Jagger money, you could do anything every fucking night and you'd be like, all right, yes, ma'am, can I have another?
Right. Oh, you
But
want me to do Rockin' Robin? I got that.
it's like I could just
Oh, I
imagine
hear
like
you.
getting
So,
like super famous on a horrible song that you just like fucking hate and you have to play it every night and just
well,
hate while
the
you're doing it.
the Flock of Seagulls guy hates the song I Ran, and he has to
Right,
play
that's a
it
perfect
every
example.
night. Right.
And I ran.
Well,
Fuck.
Chrissy Hind hates Brass and Pocket, but the Pretenders have enough other songs that really, if they didn't play that, you might not even notice.
And again, that's so much smaller. Like I think they could not. I don't know.
I mean, 90% of the people who go to see Flock of Seagulls go to hear I Ran for the encore. They could show up with 10 minutes left in the show and they'd be happy they spent their $30. So he's got to do it.
Yeah, I heard a fan. Who was it? It was so a friend's wife was like, I think it was Train, right? Like some band, Train, right?
Yeah,
Like
I know
I'm not that
Train.
familiar, but like, and we were drinking one night and talking about like how they do the same set list. And I was thinking it was just like because of the show and the production and like maybe not want to learn stuff. And she was arguing that it's because the fans would go ape shit if they didn't uh play a certain set of the hits. So they didn't, it's not a lot of these bands, her argument was, and like she's not like in the industry or anything, it was just her argument, but it's not that they couldn't do improvisation or do a bunch of different songs or different set lists each night. It's that they literally figure out the exact songs in the exact order that their fans want to hear. And if they do anything else, people are going to leave disappointed. So they just play that model and it works for them. It's just like cashing in. Wait, is Brown Eyed
Interesting.
Girl an example of a song he hates?
Yeah, I've heard that. Van doesn't. I have a bootleg of Van Morrison from the early 90s where someone yells out Domino, I think. And he cusses the guy out, tells him to get the F out if you don't want to hear what I'm playing now. Should have
Van's
been
in
a
my
clue that he went down the vaccine denier road over COVID.
oh no.
He released a whole song about it.
Oh, did he? I was just gonna say he made it on my playlist.
Right. Him and Clapton did a song together.
I'm gonna view him the same way I view Clapton. I'm gonna just turn my brain off after a certain point, right? Like I don't know,
Well, I
like
mean, can you separate the stuff?
yeah,
I
I
mean,
can.
really, when you think about it, there's so many, you know. I mean, you have like the Jimmy Page and Iggy Pop with the underage girls, you know. You have,
Yeah.
am I never going to listen to Iggy Pop again in the Stooges? Probably not. I'm probably still going to throw on a Stooges album every once in a while.
I mean, I wish you didn't escalate it to that level, and I thought we were still talking about vaccines. Like, I feel
But I
like,
mean, whatever it is, whatever kooky stuff people are into, you
I
know. I
mean,
mean,
okay, all right. So let me say it this way: there is a line. I do have a line. There is a line that if you cross, I'm not like, what's his face, the actor. It's not music, but like, I loved House of Cards.
oh, Kevin Spacey.
I'm not watching it. Like, it's after
Right.
that came out, that crossed the line. I can't look at him anymore, so I'm not going back to that ever. But like sillier shit, like, oh, you're an idiot and you don't understand science and you like
Right.
don't look. I'll still listen to Van Morrison. I'll still listen to
Right.
Clapton. But the
Is
thing, I
is
think the difference is I believe in that. I hate to say because like that whole like market idea of like I'm not gonna go out and like see your show and buy your shit, but I'll pirate the shit out of it. Like I'll listen to it for
right,
free, but I'm not like
right,
I think that's the key is like if I'm not aligned with somebody, I don't think I'm gonna go out and like full support, but I'm not gonna what the fuck difference does it make if you listen to it? If you enjoy it. Yeah,
right,
Michael's tough. I appreciate the shit out of him as a musician and I really like his music. And I don't know, like the stories are become so convoluted these days. It was a lot more clean cut earlier
right.
on. I feel like that's a tough one. If it's true though, that's
I have no doubt that it's true.
you do.
I don't think people put themselves out there and make these allegations. I don't think, some people are like, "Oh, it's about the money." I don't think people are willing to do that. I think it's a healing thing. I think it's something they have to
Yeah.
do. So when they do it, they're telling the truth. There isn't any doubt in my mind.
I'm not super well versed in all of it to be honest. But I mean I know like the allegations, but like I haven't
Right.
like
Well, and it turned around. One of the people who defended him, another kid, turned around and recanted that years later and said, "Oh, I was molested too, but he had paid me
oh.
off."
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's not good.
it's always the payoff.
Yeah, fuck him then. I'm not listening to him either.
I, you
Yeah,
know,
no, you know what? I take that back. I'm not supporting any of these assholes.
I tell you what, but when you can, in the day and age that we have now, it's not like I'm listening to the radio and Brown Eyed Girl's going to come on the radio, and there's nothing I can do to change
Right.
that. I'm on stream YouTube now. If I don't like the song, I skip to the next video.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. I listen to like Fish and the Grateful
Oh,
Dead and maybe occasionally like Mo or something. Like I'm not listening to anybody else anyway.
I hear you with that. Yeah, I try
That
to
would
listen to new stuff.
I know you do. I
And I try
appreciate
not to
that.
know. I try to find out as little as possible because you never know who's going to be the idiot. A lot of those punk people are idiots, you know?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the political stuff, I think, for me, like Ted Nugent. I mean, Ted Nugent sucked. He always sucked, but especially now just because he's opened his mouth so much.
I saw him one time open for the Allman Brothers, open for Leonard Skinner. They did like a triple ticket one year.
Right.
It was a great fucking show, but his music, I mean, I did not, I don't even want to say it sucks. Like, if you like it, whatever. I did not enjoy his music, but Allman's and Skinner, that was a really fun show. That's
I
the
s-
type of show that like everybody's just wasted. Like,
right.
before they even get in, it's just a shit show.
I saw the damn Yankees at a festival kind of bill once,
Yeah.
which was Ted Nugent with some guy from Warrant or Night Ranger or some one of those hair metal bands. Oh man, God
Just
help
hope
me.
that like I was gonna say Trey, but it would be Mike. If somebody in Fish was gonna fuck up their whole image, it would probably be Mike. Just hope that never happens, because then you'd be really conflicted.
It's
Oh
Pittsburgh Steelers Day, huh? That's what they
yeah.
tell me. I'm a Ravens fan, Brian, if you didn't
How are
know.
the Ravens doing this year?
The Ravens are doing fantastic. They spanked Detroit. They spanked, which looked like to be one of the best teams in football last week, up and down the field. Yeah, I know,
Yeah,
Mike. We know,
I
and
know, but that never came to fruition, though, did
I heard it was just they made a wrong turn on a Segway, and he got his
it?
ball kicked, and he paid some money, and you know, maybe people
Yeah.
want money. Sometimes people do want money, but Lamar that takes him out. Tommy Stahl from Sticks. That's who it was. Thank you, Daniel.
How's
Tommy Stahl.
Tampa doing? Did I make the right choice?
Huh?
How's Tampa doing? Have I made the right choice
Tampa's
this
not
year to
doing
not pay
well at
attention?
all. No,
See?
since
Fuck it.
Brady left.
I'm gonna
It's
stick with
just
my not watching.
Tampa just doesn't seem like a football city even.
No, I never was. I mean, I was a kid in Florida. I got my first jersey was a Testaverde creamsicle jersey. And so I
You're
just have, and then like I like really got into it in like the 90s with like, the defense with
right,
Sapp and Brooks and
right.
Lynch into like the early 2000s. But
We used to call him Inceptor Verde
oh yeah.
because
Why?
he threw
Oh
so many
yeah, right.
interceptions.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No,
Oh,
man.
I feel
Yeah.
bad for Green Bay this year, Mike. It's tough times up there in Wisconsin.
See, that's the problem with doing a Sunday morning show. You can't help but turn into a
Right.
football show. It'll be
You
good
know,
off
it
season.
it it isn't Jordan Love, Mike. It's more like Jordan just friends up there or something.
Uh, Brian, you out west in Pennsylvania, or are you in Eagles country and just stubborn and like Pitt?
You in Eagles? Are you in Eagles country or are you in between? Do you live in no man's land up there?
No, I'm still in Eagles country.
I think that's the team to be on.
Yeah, well, I gotta tell you, it's pretty doom and gloom out here right now after the Phillies shit the bed.
Right. Yeah, well, I went through it with Orioles.
Well, yeah, I feel like Orioles fans were just happy to be in the conversation. Like
Right.
I don't know. Philly is
So
like when you're winning, it's the nicest place in the world to be. Everybody's happy. It's like cheers, right? Like everybody like puts their arms around you and then you go out. It's like literally the sky turns to fire now, and like nobody's smiling. Everybody's just angry at each other. The dogs are screaming constantly.
so what do you do? What's Halloween look like up there? We always do Halloween around here on Halloween, and I live in a
Yeah.
townhouse community, so we get everybody from all the rural communities parking and coming here. I go through like 4 bags of candy on Halloween.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, my neighborhood scares the living shit out of me. Most of the kids are in that like, what's the age where you're old enough or you're still young enough to trick or treat, but like barely, like
10,
14, 13,
11.
14.
Oh, right. Yeah, I
Oh,
guess
no,
you
they're like in that like 12, 13, 14 age, and there's hundreds of them. You don't see shit. Like kids don't go out and play anymore. So when we moved here, I had no idea how many kids were in this neighborhood. And we've been here for
They
what,
come
2
out like
years?
they come out like rats.
Right, like
This
6 o'clock on Halloween, the first year we lived here, they just stormed the streets, a bunch of 13-year-olds, like being really aggressive too, and like running on your lawns and shit. And like, I didn't want to be the old man that get off my lawn, but like at the same time, you have like 100 kids fucking trampling on your lawn. And you're just like, I mean, my lawn's all fucking overgrown and full of weeds anyway, but like, not, I don't
They'd
know.
be like, dude, we thought you were a wook, man.
we caught another kid smoking weed outside our house again. We live on the cul-de-sac on the corner. It's like
Right.
apparently it was like the spot. It's been twice in the last year. They just go
And do you
down on the
do you
cul-de-sac.
take it from them?
I thought about it this last time. I was like, I should go
You
confiscate
should
that
have been
shit.
like, give me that shit. Give it to me. Or I'm telling your parents.
No, I just sit back in the garage. I'm like, look at these kids.
You know,
Funny.
that's one of the cool things about being a parent and an adult is you can confiscate shit.
I saw the last time you confiscated something.
When my oldest was like 14, I found weed in her room. I took that shit, smoked.
Any kid. Jake, listen, I gotta sit you down and give you a lesson on bud. We gotta talk about what you need to be getting. Man, Chad has gone completely.
No, I was like, don't do it in my house. I don't need that trouble. You know, now she has a card. I mean, she's 19 and she has a medical card now, so she's all good.
Yeah, I mean, once they're adults, it's like make your own
Yeah,
decisions.
but it's 21 normally in Maryland unless you get the card.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Wait, what's it like in New Jersey? Is it like 18 or is it 21? Is that they treat it like alcohol?
I think it's 21, yeah.
Probably. I don't know. I don't have an opinion about that.
I think it should be 18. I've always been at the school of thought if I can go into the army and you can draft me, I should be allowed.
I always had that thought too. But now I look back and I'm like, I was a fucking idiot when I was 18. I feel like, all right, this is gonna sound sexist, and I don't care. I feel like with women, 18 is the right age because they're pretty like mature at that age and got their head on straight. But like for me, they should not have been giving me shit until I was at least 24, 25. Like I was pretty fucking. I mean, I still am an idiot, but
We're gonna have a problem. Look behind me.
uh-oh.
The little one, the one's behind the curtain, and the little one's climbing up on her. We may see the curtains come down.
Who's that guy that does? Who's the guy that does the voice for like Life and Planet Earth and stuff? Dave Attenborough.
Yeah.
Sir Attenborough, you got to do the voices like.
And these
She pronounces.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we should put gambling in the chat.
Gambling.
This is like a nature documentary.
And the poor
Oh, she just turned her butt to her. Like that's like...
the bigger one, cat has no claws. When we got her, apparently she'd been declawed at some point, so she really is kind of defenseless.
Yeah. Oh well.
All right.
Listen, I got a lot of shit to do today, so let's
we got Wednesday coming up, everybody. Make sure you check it out. We're probably going to get some updates. T and Llama were both out in LA doing Taper's Choice this weekend.
Yeah, what do they call that? Taper's Ball or Choice
Taper's Ball, yes. Did we know what the gag was?
I don't know. I gotta catch up on what. I don't know.
T is so in with this man now. So let him know. Yeah, like, subscribe. Love you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.